So great to honor veterans in November and so great to talk to Chas. What an amazing guy. It's amazing all the things that he's doing and how well he's doing them, from helping veterans to helping kids get into the NFL to helping people buy a home, sell a home, building homes, developing. He is something else.
There's one-stop shopping with Chas.
For real.
Just saying. I thought we were going all in on veterans, and I'm super excited for Marci to talk veterans. And next thing you know, we're talking about an AI app, and then we're talking about the NFL, and then I'm talking about my fantasy league. So this was fun. This was a great conversation. You guys are gonna enjoy this one and get a couple of chuckles from a couple of OGs talking about football.
And if you're in the Houston area and you're looking for a realtor, I would definitely look up Chas.
Yes. Yeah.
All right. Have some fun. Listen today.
The world is a lot right now. Are you feeling it? We all need new tools to help us walk through the chaos with grace, ease, and compassion for each other and for ourselves. In this podcast, you'll hear from parents, educators, and other experts who can bring perspective to the monumental job of parenting. It's time to level up and be warriors for our kids and our communities. This is the Warrior Parent Podcast. I'm Marci Mitchell.
And I'm Debbie DiManno. As parents, we understand that it really does take a village to raise our kids. We hope that this podcast serves to create and support that community for you. Join us as we discuss and practice our core tools, which are proven mind-body techniques that can be used by anyone to improve your life on a daily basis.
Welcome back to the Warrior Parent Podcast. We're happy you're here. We're happy to be here. And it's still November, and we are honoring our veterans. And that's why we're so excited to have Chas Sampson with us today. He is a U.S. Army combat veteran, and he's the CEO and founder of 7 Principles, a mission-driven company that has helped over 25,000 veterans transition successfully into civilian life. Beyond veteran advocacy, he leads ventures in real estate, mortgages, and AI-driven career tools. He also serves as an NFLPA contract advisor, representing athletes with the same discipline and purpose that guided his military service. So we have so many great things to talk to Chas with. We're really glad you're here. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me, Marci and Debbie. It's a pleasure to be here.
Well, as Marci suggested, it is November and we're still honoring our veterans. And I think Marci has been tracking Chas for a little bit. She's like, I want this guy on the show. So we're super excited. And Chas has so much to share. So with that, Chas, give us a little background about your time in the Army, your own transition from the Army and the company that you've started right now. Let's start there.
Great question. Yeah. So I grew up in North Carolina, in Fayetteville, North Carolina, which is home to the 82nd Airborne Division. So I grew up, cool. All right. Someone's familiar. Okay. Airborne all the way. I grew up watching men and women jump out of airplanes, and Debbie, from that day forward, always had a passion for it. When we were kids, we used to take our dad's contractor bags and punch holes through them and put it on our back and climb up the tree and jump out of them. That's how interested we were into paratrooping. My mother didn't like it. She was adamant that you're going to break something at some point. So, but my dad thought it was pretty cool. And so we started going to like Sicily Drop Zone and different DZs and LZs on Fort Bragg to watch guys jump out of airplanes. And I always said I would join the military and join the Army and jump out of airplanes. And so I did ROTC as a kid. And, I grew up very strict home, very conservative Christian home that, our beliefs were community service first and our country and football. So that's kind of how I was raised, and that's kind of how I live my life now. So
all in the same sentence. All in the same sentence.
Yeah, exactly. That's how I grew up, and then I got into the Army, did 5 years. Unlike most veterans, my transition was extremely smooth. I'm a very fortunate man for that. I had a great transition. I had prepared to stay in the military and also planned to get out. Getting out was just a better investment for me specifically due to the time value of money principle for what I had going on at the time. And 7 Principles was something I just created along the way. I never wanted to get into the veteran business. Anyone will tell you, you don't make $100 million in this kind of business. We make that kind of, we have that type of opportunity elsewhere. So I got into it because one, I wanted to service veterans, but more importantly, I couldn't tell them no. And as I started to expand on who I reached and how I reached them, it just became one of the things where I said I could never not do it. So we'll always have this business going. It'll never stop because we just have a massive demand for it. And so, and the demand hasn't stopped over 11 years. We actually, Debbie, have to be careful how we advertise. We started advertising about 4 years ago. The first 7 years of the business, we didn't advertise at all. It was 100% word of mouth. And the last 4 years, we were like, we're going to make an investment. We're going to put $100K a year just into advertising efforts. We spend half of that, and we have to stop advertising sometimes because there's lines around all of our offices across the country. So yeah, that's my spiel.
Wow.
That's manifesting done right.
Yeah. Yeah. So Marci has just been educating me about her own process for this. So Marci, talk about that. Like this is not for the faint of heart to try to get through this process.
Right. I remember when I was getting out of the Army, and I did about active duty. I did just about 8 years. And I was the same. I was like, I loved the Army. I could stay in, but then also I had things like, for me, I wanted to have a family, and I really wanted to be home with my kids. So that was kind of this exciting thing in the end for me. But I had, fortunately, a sergeant major back from my time in ROTC who was like an advisor who just stayed with me and all the people who went through our office. And he was the one who was like, you make sure you document everything when you get out. And I don't know that anyone else told me that he was really watching out for me. And so, I had a few things, headache related, migraine related, not a lot though, although there are now things that I know are a result that I'm like, oh, I could have documented that.
Absolutely.
But, when you're 28 and you think, you're going to just live forever and never have any trouble.
Don't we all?
Yeah. Then you're like turning 60 and you're like, ow, why does that hurt? And why can't I do this anymore? But my husband, who I met on active duty, he's in the Navy, or he was in the Navy. We met at a joint assignment. He had 15 years, and oh boy, it was hard on his body. He had a lot more things, and he did actually medically out process due to asthma. But he is still dealing with things related to his time. And he just, in the last 6 months, got his VA level, and I'll let you kind of explain what that's about. But he got his disability level raised significantly to 100%, and it's just a huge difference because he only did 15 years. He would, he didn't have a full retirement or anything like that. Back when we were getting out, it was all or nothing. So now he has the funding, but he has his own business. So we use our VA for our insurance.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And all of the things. So that's a life-changing thing that he's been working on, and that I'm really glad he was able to do. But now it's just, like I say, we have good insurance, and he's had, a knee replaced, and he needs to have another one, and all of these things that he can do that in certain situations he might not have been able to do. So maybe explain to people a little bit about how the disability rating works and what it can mean to someone.
Oh yeah. Great question. So for disability rating purposes, you have what's called the VA SRD, which is the Veteran Affairs Schedule Rate Disabilities. And essentially it goes over the scheduler disability, which is scheduler means 0 to 100% in increments of 10. So 0, 10, 20, 30, you get the point here. And then you have, of course, the severity of each of those conditions based on its diagnostic code and what it will get you. Case in point, you said migraines. That's diagnostic code 8100. It rates 0, 10, 30, 50. So based on diagnostic code 8100, and that's under the VASRD, if you have, I almost can remember this verbatim, for 50%, you need to have prostrating and protruding attacks that are productive of severe economic adaptability that basically cause you not to be able to work. And so if you can articulate that in language the VA can understand based on the VASRD, that's how it works. So for listeners, I can get very technical because this is like, when I tell you I've read the
this is what you do
front and back, oh my God, I know things off the top of my head. But for the sake of the listening audience, the ratings go from 0 to 100%. Every increment you go up is an extra amount of compensation monetarily. And the hardest disability to get is from 90 to 100%. Most veterans think that it's an extra 10 points, but in actuality, it's an extra, depending on where you are rated wise, it could be easy another 70 or 80 points to get to 100% from that 90 percentile threshold. The easiest to go is from 0 to 50. And some of the key points I'll touch on: 10%, that gets you eligible for healthcare. 50% gets you concurrent receipt. So for retirees listening out there, if you are retired from the military, I mean, you did 20 years of military service or were granted a retirement, if you were to receive 50%, you can get concurrent receipt, which means that you get the full cash value of your VA disability payment, which is tax-free to the veteran, and you also
Mm-hmm.
get your military pension, which is taxed at the federal
Mm-hmm.
level. So you're able to get those two things. If you're less than 50%, they offset the tax amount that's due on your pension, but they don't give you a cash value for your disability percentage. And that's from
Oh,
0, 10, 30, and 50. So the
that is
key point,
interesting. I
yes,
didn't
ma'am.
know that. Mm-hmm.
The key point is for a retiree to get to 50%. That's where life becomes even sweeter because you get both pockets of money. One is tax, one
Mm.
is non-tax. The next one is 70% because most states, they typically give you some type of incentive from real estate tax purposes if you are at 70%. And of course, we all know 100% is the pinnacle. That's going to open up the floodgates of benefits for you and your family, particularly DEA is one of those big ones. That's Chapter 35, which is Dependent Education Assistance Grant. That covers your
Mhm.
tuition for your kids. And then for me, I live here in the state of Texas. I don't pay money on my real estate. And Texas is one of the higher price ad valorem tax locations in the
Yeah.
country in all 50 states. So that's the really 30,000 altitude viewpoint of
Mm-hmm.
how disabilities work. Every disability has its own rating, and it's for veterans to understand that we call it finding the gold, GOLD. There's a lot of gold in the cases that you may not find. Like, for instance, you said, hey, at 28, I thought I could take over the world, blah, blah, blah. I had migraines. Now at 60, I'm having these symptoms that I didn't experience before. Those are potentially secondary claims. And from your migraine condition, you can develop mental health, you can develop vertigo, you can develop dizziness. I mean, the list goes on and
Mm-hmm.
on. But those are extra compensable evaluations that you're particularly eligible for, depending on the evidence, how you position the case. So I know it's a pretty long, drawn out answer, but that's the short of
Wow.
it all. Um,
No, that was good. That really does explain it. And, the story I was telling Deb yesterday was another friend of mine from high school, actually, who I recently kind of reconnected at our 40th high school reunion. And her husband suddenly, who was a veteran, suddenly started having some really bad symptoms. And I don't remember all the details, but essentially, he was in the Gulf War and served overseas and had some jobs around burn pits. And so I
mhm,
just happened, when she's telling me some of these symptoms, like, hey, I was like, you need to look into this. He needs to look into this. The PACT Act was recently passed,
mhm.
and
Yep.
these things could be qualifying for him. He could be covered. And, she's a teacher. So he was a truck driver, unable to drive. And so they were talking about moving closer to their kids, but she's like, I need my insurance. And so fast forward, she just told me about a month ago, he did get 100% rating.
Mhm.
Just opens up their lives. Now they can move and be closer to their kids. They can
Absolutely.
Yeah.
have the services, and now he has the medical coverage that he needs as well.
Absolutely. I think for most people, that's the biggest part is the medical coverage. Like the money is great.
Yeah.
We all are not infirm, so we can definitely use the extra, a couple $100
Yeah.
extra per
Yeah.
month for
Yeah.
sure.
That's right.
But
That's right.
having that ability to have the stress taken off you for healthcare purposes and being able
Yes.
to be seen on an unequivocal basis is a
Yeah.
godsend for sure. So
It
shout out
really
to that
is.
family and shout out to that's what we see here in the firm as well, Marcy. We see a lot of spouses and children. I get kids that are 40 years old and their dad is 80 or
Yeah.
75 and they come to us worried about that. So shout out to the spouses out
Yeah.
there, the dependents, the kids of
Yeah.
these veterans. And these kids are sometimes, like I said, 40, 50 years old, and they're really pressing the envelope to make sure it happens. And that's what is able to
Yeah.
get that veteran the percentage that they do. So
Yeah.
we see a lot of that. A lot of our traffic come from the outside the veterans. It's
Yeah.
the dependent, the spouse.
Yeah.
So
So
The
you
community, right?
yeah,
a
so you were
community.
essentially then like an advocacy group and so do you help people then once they're in the system, or once you've figured out how they get their compensation and all that, then your job is done and now they're sort of in the VA and it's their responsibility to help guide them.
Yeah,
Is that
I
right?
would say picture me as like the old guy with like the raggedy clothes that collect stray cats. We take them as they are. So no matter where they
Yeah.
are in the process, we take them as they are. So I guess
Yeah.
for listeners, so there's no confusion, I will say this: our main focus for the VA Disability Division, we have 4 different divisions here in the firm, but for that division's focus is compensation benefits. So that's part
Mhm.
3 and part 4 of 38 CFR. We're focused directly on if the veteran has a compensable condition, that he or she is service connected and they get the money that they need. And then, yes, in essence, they are released, or I wouldn't say released, but they are on their own devices to figure out healthcare side. We don't really play on that side. We're not competent there. That's not where our practice
Right.
umbrella, shields, if you will. But we do focus primarily on Part 3 and Part 4, 38 CFR, and ensuring that these men and women get their money.
Wow.
And if I can add on that, once you are in and you have the rating, the VA is wonderful, and
Easy
there
from
is
there.
a lot of support. So
Ton of resources. Yeah.
But when you're even with me, like I got 10% when I first got out, and my headaches have gotten much worse. And so now I'm 30 years later, I have not gone back in because it feels like this giant paperwork thing. And like, as you sit here and spit out the codes, and like, I know that's what I need. And then, so to have someone you can go to and just say, here's my stuff, help me with this. Yeah, especially someone, so, I have migraines, but like some of these people I'm talking about, some of them, like my father-in-law, had cancer or, other things. And so their life is already completely thrown upside down. They have no bandwidth. So to have someone who steps in and makes sure that they're getting what they've earned, what they deserve from the VA, I can't really express what a big deal that is and how much it matters.
Thank you, Marci. We have a lot of our clients tell us consistently, and I've just subscribed to at this point, that we're doing the Lord's work. And, I would say, Marci, for the first 6 years as a business, and I'm gonna tell listeners this, I actually wanted to close the door 3 different times of this company because this type of work is grueling work.
Yeah.
And to find the men and women that want to be in these positions that we have in the firm and actually do it with passion, because you're not going to get on our phone lines and talk to a veteran in a way that's not welcoming, that's not compassionate, understanding. They already have enough to deal with. Why bring it here in the firm? So this is a tough business to run, and it's also a very tough business to find profitability in, because there's a heart level of, I want to help this man or woman out, but I also have to make payroll every 2 weeks too, right? So I went to those different times over the last 11 years, but God would just never allow me, and I hope I can speak about God if I can, I'm sorry. But God just never allowed me to actually formalize the dissolution process legally to close the doors of the company. I just never could do it. And I'll tell you a funny story. I ran for mayor back in 2017. And while I was running, I had a lot of, folks, paying attention to me, because they're like, well, how can this guy that's 30 years old run for mayor, live like how he lives? What does he has going on?
So was this in Texas then?
This is in North Carolina.
In North Carolina. Oh,
where I grew up. Yep. And so, I ran for mayor there. And while I was running, I actually came to the decision that I wanted to close the doors of the company. I sent an email out, say, hey, I'm campaigning right now. I'm closing the doors. And I never forget, several emails came in that said, yeah, we'll be here waiting when you come back. You're not going to leave us. Like, you're not going to leave us out to stray. Like, who else we want to deal with? And the people it came from, that's how they joke and just kind of talk, but, some truth to that. And so I sat back and we closed down for about 6 months. We didn't take any new business in. We managed the current case files. And I was focused on going back towards dealing with private equity stuff. That's my skill set, is private equity and finance. And so stuff that you can make, $100, $200 million a year in pretty easily. And so I was like, well, I'm gonna focus on that. That's way more lucrative. It's way more fun. And then I just thought to myself, I went on this sabbatical. I read The Psychology of Money, and I read all these purpose-driven books about running a business and being a family man and taking care of my responsibilities. And I thought, I can't leave these guys alone. So I literally sent an email and said, hey, we're back open. We had like 2,000 new intakes come in over the next quarter. And from there, it just kept going. Wow. It kept going. Wow. So yeah, I just say, you know what, I'm just going to stay with this business and just grow other verticals, which is why sometimes if you look at our website, it can be a little confusing, because you look at all our brands and you're like, wow, what do they do? They do so much, but
doing it all.
The reason why is because we have those passions. Real estate and mortgage goes hand in hand. You're not buying a house without, getting a mortgage. And if you need a mortgage, you're probably buying a house. They kind of go hand in hand.
They do.
And then of course, and then the AI was just something we developed out of let's figure out how we can capture on this AI market and help veterans.
So I want you to talk about that. So talk about your AI model. You mentioned that your transition from military to civilian life was not so difficult, but I don't know if that's a rare thing actually. Or so talk about why you created that and what it does to help service people.
Yeah, great question. So as an employer, I look at per year, it's anyone's guess how many resumes I look at. I would say at least 10,000 resumes that I personally look at.
Wow.
I may not look at them in full detail, but I look at least 10,000 resumes, because we always are hiring, and we're hiring across the country. We have employees in.
Hey, we just wanted to take a quick moment to tell you about something very exciting that Debbie and I and our team have been working on for literally years. And that is our Core Tools app, which is now available at the Google Play Store and at the Apple Store. And you can Sign up for it now, and you will get access to all the tools we've been talking about on the podcast.
And if you're an early adopter of Core tools, you can get a VIP price for $49 for a lifetime. That's
lifetime.
That's
Buy it once, and we'll keep updating it too.
Yes. So we're super excited about this. Go to Apple Store, go to Google Play, and purchase it now.
Core Tools, COUR, capital TOOLS.
Go get it.
I want to say probably 8 to 10 different states. I think 7 is a conservative number. Let's just say 7, but I'm sure it's almost 8. Alabama, Florida, Texas, both Carolinas, Virginia, California. Where's that? I said 8. So let's call it 8, right?
Okay.
And in doing so, like if you take resumes from all across the country, and we have resumes that come unsolicited. If you go to our website, you can type in careers, you can do it, you can send over your deal. As I'm looking at these resumes, I'm looking at an E9 or a 06, and I'm like, wow, this guy did what in the Army? That's super cool. And their resume is horrible. So I can't legitimately say yes to this resume, even though I like the resume, I like the woman or the man that's applying. I can't legitimately give them an opportunity because the person that understood how to communicate from a resume standpoint did it right. So it originally started where we were going to create an AI system that did resumes, and that's what we did. So our resume builder, what it does is it actually uses your MOS, AFSC, SFSC, based on your job in the military, to create a personalized resume based on that experience, and then you can add in any experience you had before, after, or during, and then from there it creates a resume. But we thought, well, okay, this is a great market. It's very niche. We were offered a bunch of capital to acquire it, so we're like, okay, we're definitely going to make great revenue from this. How do we make it even more robust? And we're like, well, the VA is very difficult to navigate, and if we can have, so our conversions at the time when we developed the app, which was a year and a half ago, it comes out next month in November, we had a conversion rate of about 60%. So 60% of people that actually wanted our services, or out of 100%, 60% actually went forward with our services. And we were like, well, what happens to the other 40%? Like, where did they go? Like, we're having thousands of people come every single month. There's thousands of people that are leaving us. Like, why did they leave us? So we did an analysis, and some of it was costs. Some of it was like, well, I just give up. I'm just tired of the process. It's too overwhelming. And we're like, well, we do it all for you. And it's like, well, still, I don't want to do it. I'm like, cool, no problem. So we said, well, how can we offer them a service that either A, is easy to use, B, doesn't cost them anything, and C, if you don't want to deal with a company like Seven Principles, where it does come at a cost, but you also do not want to deal with a company like the VSOs, where, yeah, it is free, but sometimes free comes at a hidden cost, then this is a good middle ground for you that you can make an informed decision and then either do it yourself and figure it out, or choose us or choose a VSO. Like, at least you have some options and some choice. And so that's what helped us create the app. And so we started digging through the VA's website, finding all the credible information, just putting it all into like one nucleus. And then the other part of it, you can type in a question. If you can't find what you need, type in a question, it directs you to where you want to go. So you can say, like, I have migraines.
Nice.
Since migraines has been our topic, I have migraines. What else can I get via disability wise for migraines? It'll just tell you everything you need to know, have all the links you need, so it's not confusing to go on the website. And this is coming from me as a former raider, a former federal official, and a recipient of the benefit. I'm a veteran as well. I am so confused about the website, even as a government official at the time.
Oh,
I am
yeah.
still so confused. So it's like, how can I demystify this process, make it simple? And that's where AI helped us out at.
That's
Wow.
great. That's amazing.
Wow. Just like that, in all your spare time. So what else
In my
are you
spare
doing?
time.
What else are you doing in your spare time? That's what we want to know. So something about football. So
Yeah.
tell
Debbie
us.
can't wait to
I
hear
know.
about the football, the Jerry Maguire stuff.
Well, I give you a pie. That's what I normally give people, a pie. So, and it's a blessing to be here today as well, because I actually had a flat tire coming from a site. I'm a developer as well, so I love buying land and building stuff. But I got a flat tire, so Mercedes came and picked the vehicle up for me. They're so nice. They picked West Houston Mercedes. Shout out to them. They picked up the vehicle and they took it away from me and took care of it. And then my wife bought the Corvette, and I got the Corvette here in the office now, and she took the Escalade. But nonetheless, she
Car
loves that
shuffle.
damn Escalade. What's that?
Car
Car
shuffle.
shuffle.
Yeah, we had to. Yeah, so I could be here on time. So
Oh.
I give you the pie because it gets confusing. But I don't deal with cases anymore, but I do have veterans that call me directly. I take care of them. If you reach my number, I'm going to take care of you. Or if you're in my inbox, I'm going to take care of you. And then I may shuffle you off to our team. So I would say 10% of my time goes towards like VA disability development stuff. So that's CEO stuff, that's making decisions on in personnel, new opportunities, partnerships, speaking events, et cetera. That's like 10%. Another 30% is real estate activities. So that's flipping real estate, that's sales and acquisitions, et cetera, all real estate and mortgage stuff too as well. And then I would say another 20% is like extracurricular, which is like I'm the coach of my daughter's flag football team. We have practice night at 6 p.m.
Awesome,
So 2 more hours, right?
Awesome.
I'm their guy.
Yeah.
And then there's family time, and then I would say another 30% is NFL. So I'm an NFL agent, and it's just a blessing to be a part of the NFL family, to be back into that cycle. Whenever I can take a young man and really mentor him about what happens at the next level is super cool. I just got into it, but I had been in the background of it for about 2 years from funding certain small deals. I have agents that need capital. Many people don't know this, but there's a thing called a path to the draft, and it starts pretty much in December when that player finishes up one of the bowl games, or at least from school. And then from that time to the time he starts training camp, he's on his own. And I hate to say he, because I normally say he, she, they, whatever. But it's all men in the NFL. So I'm pleased for those that are gender aware, don't beat me up in the comment section. But but yeah, so for him, from basically January to mini camp, training camp time frame, he's on his own, and either mommy and daddy taking care of the bill, but 9 times out of 10, it's the agent, depending on where they go in the NFL draft, and that's my responsibility.
I never knew that.
You don't know it unless you're in the business. Most people don't know that. Yeah, the agent takes care of that. So when you see these kids with the big chains and the cool new cars, some agent somewhere financed either all or part of that. So especially for the higher draft guys. So yeah, that's how it works, and it's your responsibility. Most people think, being an agent is all about contract. That's the smallest part. That actually it's all templated. You can add some addendums in there from time to time and add some language, but a lot of it is really just knowing the family, getting close with the family, understanding their needs, making sure you're a good fit for that family needs as well, and then being like almost like an extension of parenthood for that young man that's going to the National Football League, and that's what my job kind of really is.
Cool. So I have to ask you about this kid. I'm asking you. Well, he's a kid compared to me, but he grew up local. Marci and I are in Northern California, Sacramento.
Okay.
So Scatterbo, who's in
Cam. He's in New York Giants.
Arizona.
So
so my kids went to ASU, and so we followed
Sun Devils.
him. Yeah, and man, he's killing it. He's killing it. My husband has Scatterbo on his fantasy team, and he had like 27 points the other night. So now I understand, because he grew up, in a place in Sacramento where wasn't a lot of money, and so now I know it's a guy like you who helped him get to New York and to make that transition. Oh,
Absolutely.
That's so cool. That's so
Yep. That's what we do on the back end. I mean, most people don't know that because, the agent business is very small. It's very close knit. And more importantly, it's a business where if you're not a dog yourself as an agent, you're not going to take care of a Cam. He has a lot of dog in him. I mean, that guy is, but that's a big thing. The later round guys tend to do a lot better in the league, and they last a lot longer than some of the first and second round picks. And so, I'm so thankful that Scam is doing his thing. I have a love for ASU. I went to school at Washington State, so it was part of the Pac-12, or at least we played them when I went to college at Washington State. So to see another Pac-12 guy come out and do pretty well, and also defeat the odds of, he should have been drafted a lot earlier. I know he felt like he was the best guy, should have got the Heisman, but he's playing Heisman level football in the NFL, and that's what matters.
Yeah. I know. Oh my God, I'm tingling. Marci's like, okay, how do we get from Army?
No, I'm enjoying watching you both all light up over this. So that's really awesome.
I got one for you. To answer your question, Debbie, how do you get from Army to NFL? I'm going to tell you how.
Okay.
I have been dealing with veterans issues for 12 years. I see everything, right? I will take a lot of things to my grave. If you look at the service time of a military individual, a military service member, and you look at how they treat it in NFL, it's very similar. You got a guy in uniform or a gal in uniform, he or she goes to a Starbucks, they're getting love off the bat. Thank you for your service, love what you're doing. Where did you go? Where did you do? The list goes on. Marci can speak to that because we both wear the uniform. We know when we walk into a Walmart, people are like, thank you for your service. They love you, right? Pick up your tab at Denny's, all kinds of cool stuff, right? If you don't wear any clothing, they don't know the difference. So they don't really know. If you are a football player, you get the same amount of love. You go into anywhere, they want your autograph, they want to know what happened, they pick up your tab. It's the same amount of love, just a different type of love, right? When you leave the NFL and when you leave the military, no one knows who you are unless you're Tom Brady or some big name, But if you've been gone for a couple years from the NFL, you don't know who these people are. You walk right past an NFL player, never even know they played in the NFL. Would never ever guessed it, right? And then more importantly, to bring it back full circle, their transition is also very similar. The men and women that serve in the military and the men that played in the NFL, their transition is almost identical. The only difference is their contract value. So if you got a guy that played in the NFL, obviously his contract value is going to be a little north of $3.5 million. Let's call it 4. And for a military personnel, their contract value over the 4 years, you're looking at somewhere between 250 to 300,000 if they got a bonus, something to that effect, right? So let's call it 10% of what the NFL player's contract is the value of a military personnel. But their transition is very similar. They're trying to reintegrate. A lot of these men and women have wanted to serve since they were kids, and they've prepared for it, like I did ROTC, and that was their identity, and they did it for 20 years, did it very well, or did it for 5, and now they're like, who am I? What do I do next in my life, right? Now, it's easy for them to find a job, because if I served in the military and I find a job at, let's say, a defense contractor, I'm actually doing pretty well. That's not a bad deal. But imagine a guy that got league minimum. League minimum this year is $840,000. Imagine how he has to transition. It's much different. I can't just go work at some steel plant or defense contractor like that. I'm not even credible. I don't have enough experience to even articulate how do I get into the front door. So, these men and women have some similar problems. The marriage and divorce ratio is very similar. The unwedded child is very similar. The domestic violence is very similar. And also the success is very similar. The guys that get out of football and get into private equity and entrepreneurship and other enterprises do pretty well. The same way you have men and women that serve in the military that get out and get into entrepreneurship and other enterprise also do very well. So as I look back and I'm sitting as a CEO and I'm looking at all these files and all these people, and I got a guy here that made $15 million over the last 3 years. I got a guy that made $150,000 over the last 3 years. And I start looking at just the paperwork. Take out the name, take out the commercials, take out the fans, take out the rank, take out where they were stationed at or who they played for, and look at just a person. Very, very much the same.
Wow.
Interesting. That's really interesting. Yeah.
That's what got me into it. Because I mean, if you look at the fight for benefits for a veteran, it's very similar for an NFL guy. Very similar.
Yeah.
Their neurocognitive disability process is just like a TBI process for the VA. It's almost, I feel like it's written by the same people. It's very, very similar. You go to a panel in the NFL. For the VA, you go to a rating agency. It's some folks making a decision about what they see in your matter. So it's very, 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 very similar.
Fascinating. Fascinating. Oh my gosh, Marci, like I want to hang out with Chas for the rest of the day. I'm having so much fun. I didn't realize what a conundrum it was for you to get here on time, but we are so grateful.
You made it happen.
You were so
one thing about me, I'm going to make it happen. I think that's why folks in the league love me.
That is real
I make things happen. Yeah, I make it happen.
I would like you to share some information about how veterans, retirees, anyone who could benefit from your services, how do they find you and how do they navigate that all-encompassing website you were talking about?
Yeah, great question. Yeah, I think a lot of people that look for 7 principles, they have a very straightforward interest. And so predominantly, if you look at the data on the website, most folks looking for VA claims and they kind of trickle into the real estate side. And I'll tell you why that's the case. If you are able to get 10% for a VA disability rating, you then forego the funding fee for a real estate deal. So a lot of people start there first. They get at least 10% or at least get extra money per month, because the more money you're making per month, that increases your DTI averages. And then it also gives you some more, pocket change to afford a mortgage. Now you can actually do a little bit more than just do a mortgage. And funny little caveat here, Marci, I teach a class on how I got paid to buy all my real estate. I never buy real estate without getting paid. And I've used my VA loan, I would say at least 4 or 5 different times. But to answer your question, for VA disability claims, 7principles.com is where you start. There's an intake form. You fill the form out. That ends their process on their end. Then we pick it up from there. And then the next steps, kind of making this all very condensed, if you will. The next step, of course, is they get a check in the mail. That's what we say. You do an intake form, we do the work, you get a check in the mail. And that's on the VA side. The real estate side is very local and homegrown here in Houston. So we unfortunately do not service the whole entire country. But if you want to be our client in another country, another city, another state, we can still help this. But I'm just heads up, it is a referral that we send out to another agent that we may not really know very well. So for the real estate side, we're specific here to Houston. And on the mortgage side, we're specific to Texas. So for the VA disability side, the whole entire world, the whole country. We
Yeah.
have clients in every single state and some other countries as well. On the NFL side, ironically, I tell folks to go to Instagram because that's where the kids are. You know, hate to call them
Yeah.
kids; these are grown men. But for NFL guys, if you're an NFL player, hopeful, or college player particularly, and you want to connect with me, Instagram is the best way to do so. For the parents, they tend to like Facebook a lot more. So if you're a parent, and let's say if you like Instagram, sure, meet me there. But if you are a parent, you want to get in touch with me, you can definitely hit me up on Facebook as well. And I tell most folks, if you want to talk to me directly, my DMs are open. Just have some patience with me. I do get a lot of DMs every single day, so I try to sort them out. But if you have a serious need, especially for a veteran side, our website will be the highest and best option for them because you will get the quickest response versus my DMs where I just responded to someone from like 2 weeks ago and I'm like, sorry, bro, I'm trying to get through all the DMs and yours got stuck in there. But for those that want to connect with me personally, you can Google my name, Chas Sampson, ChasSampson. Everything comes up. So whichever platform is your best, TikTok, Instagram, X, LinkedIn, Facebook, I'm there. So
all the places doing all the things, whether you're looking to buy a house, sell a house, get your VA disability, or join the NFL, Chas is your guy.
I'm your guy.
Yeah. Thank you so much. It has been
My
great
pleasure.
talking with you.
Thank you, Chas.
Likewise.
You're awesome.
Thank you. Later.
Hey, warrior moms. As we started this podcast, we had determined that part of what we were going to do is to create a community. So we have decided to take it to another level, and we have started our own Facebook community in addition to the Warrior Parent podcast, and it's called
From Chaos to Calm, a sanctuary for moms. Here's what it looks like. It's on Facebook right now. Please go and join it. And just to let you know, we're going to create our Blue Sky accounts right now. We're getting prepared as we watch this weird stuff go on in America. So we may be shifting the whole group to Blue Sky. Just be aware that we got you. We're going to start here. If this turns out to be not a safe place anymore on Facebook, then we will shift over. But what we're creating is a safe space where moms can show up and get information, get support, talk to each other about the things you're going through with your kids, the things you went through with your kids, maybe get some advice from moms, but also other experts. We're going to invite all of our guests and experts to join the group. I hope you will too. This is a place where you can show up and be seen and be heard and be safe. Mom's got you.
Nobody trusts anyone more than moms. So let's do this.
And now for your core mental health break. This is your opportunity to take a moment to support your mental wellness, your peace of mind, your own ease and grace. Take some time every day to support your mental health. You deserve it, and it matters.
Today we're going to do another affirmation, and today's affirmation is, I can do the things I desire to do. Repeat it with me. I can do the things I desire to do. I can do the things I desire to do.
Thanks for listening to the Warrior Parent Podcast, which is a production of our nonprofit, Cour Experience, who also creates and distributes Cour tools. You can find us at courexperience.org. Make sure you join us next week for another informative conversation to help you and your family show up mindfully, purposefully, and joyfully with each other and in your community.
Our Core Tools platform consists of a number of proven tools and techniques that are designed to reduce stress, anxiety, and overwhelm in spite of what's going on in your world. We want to thank Samuel Hale, LLC, for sponsoring this podcast. Technical and marketing support comes from Inspire Your Brand. Our podcast editor is Justin Beeden. Opinions expressed by guests do not necessarily reflect those of the hosts, the producers, or the financial supporters. I'm Debbie DiManno.
And I'm Marci Mitchell. Thanks for listening. If you resonate with the idea of creating a community to help support kids and families, won't you join us by following the podcast and sharing this episode? You can even write a review. It truly does take a village, and we appreciate you.